right, as everybody's coming in, let's stand together and let's pray. Then I'll back off this thing a little bit. God, we love you. We thank you for your goodness to us, God. Thank you for letting us be here tonight, God. Thank you for all that you do and all you've been working on in our lives and at this church, God. Just continue to do it, Lord. For you to work in the youth and the kids that are here tonight, God, and being in here, Lord, with me as I teach this word that I feel like you've laid on my heart tonight, God. And let us be with you over the next few minutes, God. And let us worship you and call on you and give you the glory, God. In your name I pray. Amen.
Our fight is with weapons unseen. Your enemies crash to their knees as we rise up in worship. When trials unleash like a flood, the battle belongs to our God as we cry out in worship. The victory is yours. You're riding on the storm. Your name is a clear name. No kingdoms rise and fall. Your throne stands in awe. Your name is unshaken. What hell meant to break me has failed. Now nothing will silence my praise. I will cry out in worship. The walls of the prison will shake. The chain-breaking King will rise to save as we cry out in worship. The victory is yours. You're riding on the storm. Your name is a clear name. No kingdoms rise and fall. Your throne stands in awe. Your name is unshaken. It's unshaken. It's unshaken. You are like thunder. Nothing can save Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come on, make the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning. I know I will never be alone. I know I will never be alone. There'll be another in the fire, standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters, holding back the seas. And should I ever be reminded of how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. There'll be another in the fire. Oh, there'll be another in the fire. Oh, there'll be another in the fire. Oh,
Go sing that again.
there'll be another in the fire. Oh, there'll be another in the fire. Oh, there'll be another in the fire. Oh, there'll be another in the fire. Oh.
Lord, we thank you that we had a night to worship you, God, just in the middle of our week, just to pause and to throw some glory at you, God, that you deserve, God. And I pray tonight, God, that we wouldn't quit, Lord. And we would just get so desperate for you, God. That our hearts will just begin to pound when they come in here, God, because they just want to explode and sing to you, God. And then we'll realize that even in our suffering that we have at times, Lord, that you're in that as well, God. And you're walking in the fire, God. I thank you for that. So be with us, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen. You can be seated, and kids and teens, you can be dismissed.
Right. So tonight what we're talking about, I'll get it up there in just a second, but we're talking about parallel encounters. And what we're going to look at, we're going to look at two different people who had an encounter with Jesus, but their encounters are totally different, and their expectations totally different, and what they leave with is totally different. And so we want to look at this. First of all, let's start here in Mark chapter 10. If you got your Bibles, you can turn to Mark chapter 10. We'll be there for a few minutes tonight, so you can actually follow along there. You can follow along on the screen. I talk about the rich young ruler a lot of times because every time I read it and every time I begin to look at it, I find something else about it. And then the interesting parallel, you'll see the two people tonight, and I never really thought about this to just recently, how these stories are so similar yet so different, and how one is what you ought not to do, and one is what you ought to do. But let's read through it, and then we'll get into some of it. Okay, so Jesus is teaching, and it says, as he was setting out on a journey, a man ran up to him and knelt before him and asked him, "Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone." And he said, "You know the commandments: do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness, do not defraud, honor your mother and father." And he said to him, "Teacher, I've kept all these things from my youth up." And looking at him, I love this part. It said Jesus felt love, or Jesus loved him, and said to him, "One thing you lack. Go and sell all you possess and give to the poor, You know what I'm saying? When we correct people with the word of God, it's not a judgment. It's not because we don't care about them. Look, it said here, Jesus said, hey, I love you, but you lack something. And it's like when you correct your children, then you don't do it because you're mad at them. You don't do it because you hate them. You do it because you love them. He said, one thing you lack, go and sell all you possess and give to the poor, and you will have treasures in heaven. And then he gives them the ultimate invitation and says, come, follow me. But at these words, he was saddened, and he went away grieving, for he was one who owned much property. All right. Now, we're going to back this up a couple of verses, and we're going to break this down. That's the wrong one. All right. First of all, I want you to look at something. As he was setting out on the journey, a man ran up to him and knelt before him and asked him, good teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? It's interesting to me the way the rich young ruler greets Jesus. Notice that when he comes up and he greets him, and I looked at this in a few different translations, he doesn't greet him as Lord, and he doesn't greet him as Messiah. He doesn't even really greet him as Rabbi. He just says, good teacher, and the King James actually says, good master. So that automatically tells you that there's a problem in the way that the rich young ruler looks at Jesus. There's something that's off there, because most people would come up, Messiah, you're the Messiah, you're our Lord, you're maybe even our Savior, but he doesn't greet him that way. And from the beginning, if we take a deeper look at the rich young ruler, the meeting is never about wanting to know Jesus or wanting to follow Jesus. Not at all. I look at this, and when I first read it, it's easy for me to go, oh, he wanted to know Jesus. He wanted eternal life. But he doesn't. He says, good teacher, not Messiah, not Lord, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? Not one point in there does he say, I want to follow you, I want to know you, I want to have a relationship with you. All he wants is heaven. There's a problem there. And you'll see it in churches all around. There's a lot of people struggling with that same thing. They don't want Jesus. They just don't want to go to hell. The truth of the man's reason for approaching Jesus is not so much in what he says, it's in what he doesn't say. He doesn't greet Jesus as Lord and Messiah. Next, he doesn't ask, how can I know you, Jesus? He doesn't ask, how can I follow you, Jesus? His request is never about Jesus personally. His request is about receiving eternal life. You see that? You'll read right past it. But this guy's a selfish guy. We can tell that guy. He's got all this stuff. You know, we don't ever get a name of this guy. We just really get a description. He's rich, he's young, and he's a ruler somewhere. And he's just got himself on mind. There's no indication whatsoever at all that he wants a relationship with Jesus. It's actually quite the opposite. He just feels like Jesus knows the way to eternal life. You know, I look at it, I'd like to pull something different from it, but it's not. It's the way a lot of people who claim to be Christians, most of them, like I said, they don't want Jesus, they just don't want to go to heaven. And if you look at other parts of their life, you'll see that backed up. It's like they go to church, like, oh, I've been to church this week. Now, you were part of, the minority that are here on Wednesday night, so I would feel like you guys want a little more than that, but there's just, oh, I did my church thing. I said my blessing. I did this week. I did that. But it's never, if you'll always notice, when you get into that behavior, it's more of what I'm doing than who I'm knowing. And I think that's a dangerous thing for us as Christians. Because what's it say in the Bible? It says there's going to be a day that comes, and there's going to be people who say, Lord, Lord to me, or Master, and I'm going to say, depart from me, for I never knew you. He's not going to say, depart from me, because you didn't know my rules. He's not going to say, depart from me, because you didn't read my Bible. He's not going to say, depart from me, because you never studied. He's going to say, depart from me, because I just never knew you. It's like, I know all about you, but I don't know you. If you're honest with yourself tonight, and hell was not a reality, and there was no consequence for sin, would you still choose Jesus? If there was no hell, if there was no consequence for sin, would Jesus still be what you want in your life? That's a tough one, isn't it? If there was if it didn't matter, would it still matter? Look here of people that can put on a good show but didn't know him. And its lip service is very cheap. Very cheap. I see it all the time. We say we love the Lord, but then we treat people badly. There's all these measurements. Today, I read something that said that talk is cheap and actions are really where it's at. But really it's this. It's actions magnify or amplify what we say. It's not that our words aren't important, but our actions are going to amplify those things and make them more important. And it's going to back up what we say and move us forward. But I see people treat people bad, and they treat them with that like they don't care. And then John 13:35 says this, by this everyone will know that you're my disciples if you love one another. So I scratch my head and I look at this and I say, so what does it mean if you say you're a Christian, but you really don't like people? Or you never inconvenience yourself for others, and you never share the gospel? I think it's going to be like that other verse where it says that the people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. I'm a Christian, but don't annoy me. I'm a Christian, but you go on my nerves. I'm a Christian, but I'm really kind of rude to people when I think about it. I'm a Christian, but that's just who I am. I'm just an honest person. If somebody ever says I'm just being honest, that means they're being rude. That checks out 99% of the time. Oh, I'm just being honest. No, you're just being dirt. That's really most of the time the way it is. I hate to hear somebody say, well, I just want to be honest with you, Pastor. No, I don't. No. Because number one, that makes me think that you lied to me before. If you have to tell me now, that you're telling me the truth. If you got to highlight that you're going to be honest now, then that means before you probably wouldn't be. It would actually appear that although you claim you're born again and you're new in Christ, you're actually nothing like him. I never see a situation where Jesus has turned people away. Yeah, go ahead.
So what if you don't hate that person? You still love them, but don't like how, I guess how their actions are toward you?
Yeah, and you can't control what they do to you, but you can control how you respond to them. And sometimes I can say a whole lot by saying that. You know what I'm saying? I've been annoyed with people and not told what I really thought of them. At the time, you know, there has to be a love, though, and I've noticed that over time, if you choose to respond the right way, your actions will back up your character, and it will say who you are, and they'll know it, because if they ever come to Christ, then they'll say, well, I remember you, you should have treated me bad, but you didn't.
There's a song I play when we talk that person. It says, I don't like that people, I love it. And that's, I mean, that has a really good message to it.
Yeah.
You love her, I don't think you have to like her.
Right. You know, when we look at Jesus, you know, if it was the kids that were coming to him, and people thought that would annoy him, he said, no, let them come. Let them come. You know, here's somebody, I mean, the rich young ruler, here, and Jesus knows the rich young ruler's heart's not for him. He knows that he doesn't care about him. He just wants what he can give him. But Jesus welcomes him, and then it says Jesus loves him, and then Jesus loves him enough to correct him, and then Jesus loves him enough to step forward to say, hey, come follow me. Because see, if he would have ever done that, what a difference it would have made. I'll get into that in a minute. But the rich young ruler, one thing I'll say about the rich young ruler is he's very good at following rules. Very good. He said, you know the commandments. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness, do not defraud, honor your father and mother. What other one does that leave out? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Jesus doesn't even, he's trapping him. He's leading him down this thing trying to show him. But look, he said to him, teacher, I've kept all these things up from my youth. He's a good person. He knows the rules. But he doesn't know to make those rules. And we'll get in church and we'll browbeat one another over behave. But if you'll fall in love with Jesus, your actions will fall in line. People, you know, we try to teach our kids so many things, and I do it to mine too. You can't lie. Don't steal. Don't do all this. When really, I just want my kids to fall in love with Jesus, and if I do, they'll hurt when they mess up. And we can't get the rules above the relationship. The relationship has to be first. And if you've got this great guy who's been ultra successful, and by the world standards, he looks great, but by the relationship with the Lord, he has no relationship. He's destined for hell. And to my knowledge, I mean, there's not a thing that says he doesn't do that. you got to eat my flesh and drink my blood. That was gone. And so only a few remain. But Jesus offers him a part in the greatest story ever told. I mean, I think the story would be a lot more interesting if he was, you know what, you're right, Jesus. Let me follow you. And who knows, but when Jesus went to the cross, there would have been that rich young ruler. Who knows that that rich young ruler would have paid for Jesus' tomb and said, hey, you know what, I got money. Let me put it here. Who knows what would happen? We don't know because he doesn't do it. But Jesus offers him that. It was not an invitation that was given to everyone that approached. But Jesus loved him enough to try and rid him of the things that were keeping him away from heaven and away from knowing Jesus. He said, sell all you have and follow me. If the rich young ruler obeys, he's no longer distracted by his things. So the problem one is solved. The distractions are removed. And then he goes a step further and he says, come follow me. So he gets a chance to know intimacy with Jesus, which would have solved problem number 2. Either way, the rich young ruler's problems would have been solved by how Jesus approached it. He said, sell everything you have. Now there's no distractions between me and you. Now come follow me. Now you can know my heart. And that's really what Jesus is saying to all of us. Is put it down, whatever it is, and come follow me. See, we can be like the rich young ruler. We want the prize, but we really don't want to surrender anything, and we really don't want to know Jesus. It's just like, we're just so, oh, I just can't wait to get to heaven. Oh, I just can't wait to have a mansion. Oh, just give me a shack in the corner. Oh, just give me all this. And I'm going, you know what, it doesn't matter, man. We need to just be with Jesus. And I think we're going to be so caught up in him. All that, everything else is not really going to matter. Sure, it's great. Sure, it appeals to our flesh and it makes us want to be there. But I really think when we get there, you know, sometimes people come to me and I have all these questions. What's heaven going to be like? We're going to be married. Are we going to get to heaven? Are we going to have this? Are we going to eat in heaven? Are there going to be dogs and cats in heaven? I don't know everybody that doesn't know it. And I'm telling you, really, when we get there, it ain't going to matter. So I don't think about it too much because it don't matter. I'm not going to, it's not, you can't judge heaven on earth standards and be like, well, I'm going to miss my wife. No, you're not. That will miss your husband. If you're together, you're together. Great. But it's not great. I can think about your dog that you have in the 3rd grade. It's not going to happen. You're going to get there, you're just going to be so caught up in Jesus, and it's going to, and whatever's supposed to make sense is going to make sense. Because the veil's going to be removed. Now, the rich young ruler didn't ask to follow Jesus. He didn't ask to follow Jesus. If he had, I'm sure Jesus would have told him this. Look here. Then he said to them, oh, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny himself and take up their cross daily and follow me. The rich young ruler never got that far. But I imagine if he'd have said, what do I got to do, Jesus, to follow you? What do I got to do to know you? He'd have told him, you know what, if you're going to follow me, you're going to have to take up your cross and come after me. But then again, in some ways, that's exactly what Jesus told him. He said, sell it all. Deny yourself. And then he said, your stuff is your identity, so get rid of it. And then he said, follow me. Come and be with me. So he told him to deny himself. The only thing he didn't tell him was to take up his cross. He said, and this is a view of our first person tonight who had an encounter with Jesus. All right, so our first encounter, our parallel encounter tonight, because parallel just means they're running side by side. They look the same, they're similar. Our first encounter is with the rich young ruler, and we see him. Now, let's move forward a little bit further, and let me show you the next one. All right, Luke chapter 19, and this is the story of Zacchaeus. Okay? So Zacchaeus is a tax collector, and you know, that's pretty much, it was then, and it pretty much is now, a thief. They come to take your stuff. You know, it don't belong to him, but we got to give it to him. And he probably took more than what was his share. That was part of the problem with Matthew being a disciple, was he was a tax collector. It's like, I can't trust him. It'd be like us taking a car salesman. You know, we don't trust what he has to say. But so Zacchaeus, he comes out here, and this is where we pick up in Luke chapter 19. It says he entered Jericho and was passing through, and there was a man called by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. All right. So Zacchaeus was trying to see who Jesus was and was unable because of the crowd, for he was small in stature. Okay? That's people who aren't gifted vertically. So he couldn't see because of all the people like Cater who was standing in front of him. here because I'm going to hang out with the tax collector, Zacchaeus. You know it's not, you know they're going to be mad. So just get ready. And I'm fixing to blow their mind. And we're going to your house. It'd be like me saying, hey guys, I'm leaving out of here and I'm going down to the bar. And I'm going to hang out down there. Randy's done been down there. He's tied one on and I need to go see him. So I get down there. I'm going to where he is. And the Baptists are gasping. And the Methodists are covering their eyes. But that's non-denominational. We can do what we want. Tell me your bylaw says I can't do it. And so it says, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down. For today I must stay at your house. And he hurried and he came down and he received him gladly. This is just such a different picture than the rich young ruler. I looked at these stories and I thought, man, they're so similar. They're so different. There's two men. They both come to Jesus, but one of them comes and he is fired up about coming to Jesus. He climbs up in the tree, not so that he can have him at his house. He doesn't even know Jesus knows anything about him. He just climbs up there so he can see him. Think how much effort it takes for a little man to climb up a tree. It's not easy. We can't reach all the limbs. And it's a long way down for us, so we're taking great risk. But he climbs up there, and he's so excited to see Jesus. And when they saw it, you know, everybody loves they. They've been saying, some people have been telling me that's that day. When they saw it, they did what they always do. They all began to grumble. It's that religious spirit, saying he has gone to be the guest of a man who is a sinner. Well, thank God. Thank the Lord that that's where he is. That he wants to be with the sinners. He's gone to be the guest of a man who is a sinner. So Zacchaeus stopped and he said to the Lord, behold, Lord, half of my possessions I will give to the poor. And if I've defrauded anything, I will give back 4 times as much. Doesn't sound to me like Zacchaeus is walking away sad. You know, the rich young ruler, he walked away sad, likely he had many possessions. Well, Zacchaeus is rich. We know that. It's already said that. But he says, you know what? If I've defrauded anybody, I'm not just going to give them back what I owe them. I'm going to give them back 4 times that. It's a different experience, man. It's totally different. And then look, Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because he too is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which is lost, and it makes the religious people mad. Because he goes out to the dirty places to get the dirty people who want to love him, who climb in trees to hold on to him, to see him, who are risking it all, who are risking humiliation because they're short, they're hanging out of trees to see Jesus. And Jesus is going, I love this. I eat this up. It doesn't say who they are. It doesn't even give them a name, but it tells Zacchaeus his name. Why? Because he had an impression on the master's heart. What do you want to be? Upon first glance, this story is so wildly different. It tells us the reason Zacchaeus has an encounter with Jesus. Zacchaeus was trying to see who Jesus was, and was unable to because of the crowd, for he was a small stature. He wanted to see who Jesus was. Zacchaeus doesn't come looking for what Jesus has to offer. He simply comes looking for Jesus. And what would church be like? If you didn't come in here and want us to give you anything, I don't care about the stumps. I don't care about the friends. They're all great. We love them both. I don't really even care what Pastor Matt has to say. I've just come to see Jesus. And every Sunday he came with an enthusiasm that Zacchaeus has. He wanted Jesus' heart, not his hand. And it's interesting to me that when Zacchaeus makes an effort to find Jesus, that Jesus finds him. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for today I must stay at your house. When he came to Jesus, Jesus came to him. And then he thought he wasn't known by Jesus, but Jesus already knew who he was. Well, that's big. When Zacchaeus came motivated to know Jesus, Jesus invited himself over to know Zacchaeus. heart to Jesus? It doesn't say anything other than he's a tax collector. When Jesus wants to come to his house, Zacchaeus is still a sinner. He's still dirty. He's still messed up. He hasn't changed any of his behavior.
Well, you can tell it's how personal it was, because everybody,
Yeah, they broke against him. I can't believe they go over that guy's house. Zacchaeus doesn't have it together when he comes to Jesus. Man, everybody will read that story and understand that. He couldn't clean himself up enough. He was a tax collector. He had cheated people for his own profit. But today, everything had changed. See, Zacchaeus is changed by this parallel, this encounter. He's changed by the encounter. He's not changed by the rules. Notice that Jesus doesn't even mention one rule to Zacchaeus. Why? It's because he's got the first one right. You don't need the rest when you have the first one right. Love the Lord God with all your heart. Don't have any other gods for me. If you do that, you won't have the other ones to worry about. And so he doesn't even have to tell him that. And when Zacchaeus gets the revelation of who Jesus really is, it changes who Zacchaeus is. Zacchaeus changed his actions and vowed to make retribution for his wrongdoings. At the moment when Jesus saw the heart of Zacchaeus had changed, Jesus declared that salvation had come to Zacchaeus. Okay, so Zacchaeus stopped and said to the Lord, "Behold, Lord, half of my possessions I will give to the poor." Why is he so quick to do it? Because he was caught up in who Jesus was. Anybody that would walk through the crowd and come and pull me out of the tree and then come over to my house, even though everybody hates it, he's got to be the man. He's got to be the way. He's got to be the Savior. And see, when Zacchaeus began to have a revelation of who Jesus was, it changed Zacchaeus' behavior. And that tells us something about people in the church. If your behavior hasn't changed, you probably haven't met Jesus yet. Because it'll change who you are. So Zacchaeus stopped and he said, "Behold, Lord, half of my possessions I will give to the poor. And if I've defrauded anyone of anything, I will give them back 4 times as much." And then Jesus says this, "Today salvation has come to this house, because he too is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save that which is lost." See, when true salvation comes to a person, their actions change. And when Jesus saw that Zacchaeus' heart had changed and that he was willing to change his behavior, Jesus said, "Okay, salvation's come to this place. I see it. It's working itself in you, Zacchaeus." If a person's actions don't change after meeting Jesus, I just don't believe they really met him. The rich young ruler did this. The rich young ruler walked away sad because he loved stuff more than Jesus. And then again, he came seeking the hand of Jesus. Zacchaeus came looking to see Jesus. And Jesus invades Zacchaeus' space. And he's so overwhelmed, it causes him to make retribution fourfold what he had taken. For the rich young ruler, he held on to his selfishness, and therefore there was no room in his life for Jesus. Think about it. If you got so much stuff in your life, you can't really give your life to Jesus. It's like, how can you pour into arms that are already full? It doesn't happen. But Zacchaeus gave open-handedly and open-heartedly, and Jesus proclaimed the news that Zacchaeus had found salvation. Why? Because you start taking on the characteristics of your master. When Jesus saw in Zacchaeus that he was generous, that he was kind, that he was faithful, then all of a sudden Jesus said, "Yeah, that salvation's come to him because he looks just like me." And that's how you tell people apart. They'll know you by your fruit. So when we go into church and we don't see fruit, we know that something's not right. It made me think of this passage. I think Zacchaeus' generosity was born out of his gratefulness for Jesus loving him. And when he saw how great Jesus' love was for him, his natural response was love for others. Luke 7:41, there was a certain creditor who had 2 debtors, one owed 500 denarii and another 50. And when they had nothing with which to repay, he freely forgave them both. He said, "Tell me therefore which of them will love him more." And Simon answered and said, "I suppose the one whom he forgave more." I think Zacchaeus realized he was pretty dirty. He was pretty nasty. And so when he felt like that Jesus would be generous to him and to cleanse him and to come and stay at his house, then he realized that he ought to do it with somebody else. For much is given, much is required. I think on our own, it can be hard to love people and forgive people. But when we see people in light of what Jesus has done for us, our natural the light of what Jesus has done for you, you can see them in that light, realizing that they need it. It will make you treat them differently, and that natural fruit of the Spirit will pour out of you. Generosity, patience, peace, kindness, patience, all these different things are going to come out of you because that's who you are. And you'll just naturally bear what you are. If someone like Jesus can love a dirty sinner like Zacchaeus, then Zacchaeus can love the one true Messiah. So breaking these down now, we've had two parallel stories. Both men were invited to spend time with Jesus. The rich young ruler, come follow me. Zacchaeus, come on, let's go to your house, we'll hang out. But it was ultimately their decision whether they would accept the invitation. And we're the same way. Every day you have the opportunity to spend time with Jesus. And every day you get the invitation. And he says, come and follow me. Come and be with me. Come away with me. And then you make the decision whether you're going to accept that invitation. Next is, Jesus doesn't want you to simply know all the rules. He wants you to know him. Because you will follow his rules if you really love him. And you'll follow the rules of the one who passes them down. He says, if you love me, what? You'll keep my commandments. So the commands are secondary. Love is first. If you can't love him properly, you'll never keep his commands. Because it'll just be rules to follow. It's the same way in my house. My kids follow our rules, maybe. But if they love me, they'll really follow my commandds. Because they'll want to honor me. And they're learning that right now. The rich young ruler chose to walk away sad that day. And the saddest part of it all is he was offered riches far greater than anything he had ever known. He was offered the kingdom. He was offered time with Jesus. He can't buy that. You know, there's a lot of things that you can't buy. I can't buy hugs from my daughter. So nobody can give me enough for her. And it's the same way. The rich young ruler had all these great riches and was offered the greatest riches he had ever been given. And he turned it down. Zacchaeus seized the moment, and by doing so, sent his life into a direction of movement toward Jesus. And I wonder what would happen tonight if we just seized the moment. Zacchaeus said, look, Jesus is coming. He was like, you know, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Elf, but when Santa's coming, he freaks out and he's running, Santa's coming, and he does all these decorations. Now, I imagine Zacchaeus was pretty fired up. He said, hey, Jesus is coming. He's about to come this way. I got to see who he is. And he climbs up in the tree and he waits on him. And he comes by. Why? Because he sees the moment. If he doesn't seize that moment when it comes, Jesus passes on by and he never sees it. He never knows it. He never has an experience. And every Sunday we come in here and we have the choice to seize the moment. Here it is. He's passing by. What do we want? And if you got desperate enough, I wonder if you got desperate enough to climb a tree to see Jesus. That desperation. When Zacchaeus climbed the tree, you know what he did? He removed all the distractions that were standing between him and Jesus. He did. He got up above them. Sometimes in our own life, we need to get up above the things that are blocking our view. You know, for me right now in baseball, it's baseball. I need to get above baseball, right? If it's Alabama football when that time comes around, I need to get up above Alabama football. If it's too much time fishing, if it's too much time hunting, if it's too much time at work, I got to get up above. I got to climb up there. Why? So that I can clearly see Jesus. Because if I lose eyesight with him, he will pass by and I will miss it. And I will miss what he has for my life. And Zacchaeus probably had quite a different radical life after this that he would have not had, and he would have never been known, and he wouldn't be nobody today. We wouldn't even know anything about this short man who decided to climb a tree about Jesus, who has some wacky song written about him, and all these things that you've been raised on. We wouldn't even know. But he climbed the tree and he removed all the things that was blocking his view. And so what if you remove what is blocking your view, and you simply focus on seeing Jesus? We get caught up in a lot of things. But the simple is where it's at. The rich young ruler missed it because of simple things. Simple things, gold, silver, that once he died, he couldn't take with him. Zacchaeus gave it all away, and in doing so, he got to experience Jesus in his home. Let's pray. God,